Yeah, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got into this crazy situation. To tell you that, let's go back to the beginning. Hey everybody, I'm Benkelmonkey, and welcome to another video of me unclogging my gaming backlog. Today we're gonna be...
Gaming police, I'm coming in!
Raided by the gaming police?
Gamer card and registration.
Oh, yes, of course, you are, sir.
Whoa, what's this? Have you been operating the small video game YouTube channel without ever playing The Legend of Zelda?
No, I've never played it, sir.
Okay, well, then I'm gonna revoke this, and you're gonna have to shut down this whole operation.
No, let's not be hasty here. Like, what if I were to play The Legend of Zelda right now?
You had your chance, buddy.
Well, what if I found a YouTube-friendly original idea that would make it really engaging?
Alright, well, I'm gonna have to write you a fix-it ticket here. But this better be good.
Oh, it's gonna be. So that's how this all started. But how did we get to... We'll get there. But before that, a little background. Few franchises are more iconic than The Legend of Zelda. Released on the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1986, 87 in North America, you play as Link, not Zelda, on a quest to save Princess Zelda from the clutches of Evil Dude and Big Pig Boy, Ganon. To do so, Link needs to retrieve the 8 pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom hidden in dungeons across the land of Hyrule, and defeat the Big Pig Boy Ganon. It sounds simple now, but for the time, this game was huge. It was actually the first home console game with an internal battery, so you could save your game. But being able to save doesn't make this game any less of a challenge. For 1986, this overworld map is massive and filled to the brim with secrets, traps, and puzzles to solve. But The Legend of Zelda doesn't want to make this easy for you. Oh no. This game, with its big ol' 128 screen overworld covered in secrets, doesn't have an in-game map. All you get is this gray box and a little glowing dot at the top of the screen. Yeah, this is supposed to tell you where you are. The original game came with a map in box that showed most of the areas of the map. But I don't have that, and I'm definitely not buying it now. And sure, I could go online and, oh, there's a map with all the secrets marked on it, and probably knock this game out in a couple of hours. But that's not how this game was meant to be played. No, this was meant to be played 80s style. I'm talking no help from the internet, writing your own notes down, and most importantly, drawing your own map. Because if you're going to keep track of all the secrets you've found in all the places you've gone, you're going to need your own map for reference. And this is where we go big. In my inventory, I've got some cardboard, a giant pile of white sticky notes, and a 10-pack of colored markers. I'm going to make a giant 128 square map as I play through the game, marking every secret I find along the way. All without any help from internet or guides, just intuition and my wits. My idea was enough to get the gaming police off my back, but he also gave me an ultimatum.
Alright, but you only got 3 days to finish your little project here, okay?
3 days?
You better get to it.
The clock was ticking. To help me with this endeavor, I called in my good buddy Jake, who kinda looks like... Nah, couldn't be. We ran into a couple of snags almost immediately. Namely, space. To map out the overworld the way I wanted to, there was no way I could fit this giant piece of cardboard in my office. So we had to move the entire setup out of that room onto the kitchen peninsula.
High fives.
Also, I don't own an NES, so I had to go with the closest thing I had available, the NES Classic. I chose this over the Switch version because, 1, we're doing this old school, and this thing looks so good, minus the really short wired controller that comes with it. And 2, I just know myself way too well. That Switch Online rewind function is just too tempting not to use, so it's time to put this retro baby to work. With our setup in place and a cup of coffee close at hand, it was time for me to finally play The Legend of Zelda. I name our Link Bink, and we're off to get the sword from the old man. Now, to be fair, it's not like I didn't know anything about The Legend of Zelda. I wasn't completely in the dark about this hidden gem of a game. I knew that you fought enemies to get rupees to buy things like bombs and upgrades and other items. And I knew that you had to blow up walls and burn bushes to find secrets on the overworld. But I had no clue where any of that was. So with no sense of direction whatsoever, I started to expand my map. It started simple enough. I'd enter an area, defeat all the enemies there, and then do my best to sketch out the room. I'm no artist by any means, but I'd say that my drawings were more than serviceable. But if you look at the game footage, there's a lot of Link just standing around, like he's treating all of Hyrule like it's a 7-Eleven parking lot. But in the real world, I was feverishly drawing and expanding the physical map. Some areas were tougher to map than others, namely any that had a Zora in it, because they were nearly impossible for Link to stab to death this early in the game. So it led to a lot of pausing, drawing, unpausing, dodging a fireball, more pausing, more drawing, etc. Eventually, I got enough rupees to buy some bombs, and with that...
I'm the evil Midnight Bomber! What bombs at midnight?
But I couldn't find anything good to blow up. In fact, I was mostly surrounded by trees, which are impervious to explosions, but weak to small candle flames. And that 60 rupee price tag was a tad steep at the moment, but I knew some trees yearned for the fire, but not all of them. So for the sake of mapping out secrets, every tree needed to be its own little circle, which wasn't time-consuming or tedious at all. Eventually, I find a forest that likes me so much it doesn't want me to leave. The block didn't move. Oh god. Oh god. Did I leave? I left! Okay. Free of the Lost Woods, we're back to killing and a mapping. And all the while, I'm having a really good time. Exploration in The Legend of Zelda is really fun, and the combat feels really satisfying, especially when you have full health and you can shoot laser beams out of your sword. I was really getting into it. And then, I finally happened upon my first dungeon. Of course, it's when I'm extremely low on health, and it's actually the third dungeon, so this isn't happening right now. I did give it a funny face, though.
Subscribe.
So, let's get out of here. Damn it. Back to the start, and it's time to adventure elsewhere. The map's filling in nicely, but I know there's a lot more to see and do. I haven't even finished half of the 128 squares at this point, and my fingers were covered in marker. I also realized around this time that each screen is actually a rectangle, not a square like my sticky notes.
So everything's just a little stretched. It's fine.
At least I finally saved enough money for the candle, and with that... But like, really slowly. I didn't know you could only use the candle once per screen. So any screen with a lot of trees on it turns into this forward and back dance.
Forward and back, and then forward and back, and then go forward and back, then put 1 foot forward.
But eventually, I found my first secret. $10, baby! My good luck continued with finding this hidden shop, and an old man offering me a heart or a potion. Not sure why you'd ever take the potion when the heart, you know, expands your health forever. So now we got 4 hearts. Nothing can stop us now. And I put that feeling to the test almost immediately, because just 3 screens away, I found dungeon number 1. Finally, a change in the music. Not that I ever got tired of the overworld theme or anything, but it was wild to realize I'd been listening to the same song for 2 hours straight. I also pulled out a smaller piece of cardboard to map out the dungeon, which I gave up on as soon as I found out the game actually gives you a map of the dungeons. It's not a great map, but it's helpful in some of the more complex dungeons, which the first dungeon definitely is not. Either is the first boss, Aquamentus, which is a weird name for someone clearly shooting fireballs. But with the bow I found in the dungeon, and the first piece of the Triforce, I was on my merry way to find the second dungeon. I crossed the scorching deserts, climbed the rocky mountain cliffs, and died. Back to square one. I wandered through lush forests all the way to the eastern coast, and died. Back to square one. This is when I started to realize how challenging The Legend of Zelda is, but it's a welcome challenge. Making you earn your victories makes them that much more rewarding. I was really impressed with how well such an old game was walking that fine line between difficulty and frustration. Until I burned open this secret, only to find... What the hell, game? He doesn't even fix it. It just stays open the rest of the game. Also, your door was a bush? A bush? The Legend of Zelda doesn't always play fair. Anyway, I continued to explore, fighting, mapping, and constantly getting the stopwatch item to drop from the last enemy on screen, causing Link to have a sad little rave all by his lonesome. But after 30 minutes of walking around aimlessly, I finally stumbled upon Dungeon 2. Not much to say about this one, other than
I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos!
having already found the third dungeon, it was a short walk over into what would be my own personal hell. This is where I was introduced to my arch nemesis, Dark Nuts. Silly name, absolutely vicious. This is the only enemy type that only takes damage when you attack from the sides or the back. If you go for the front, they'll block you with their shield, and usually run you over like a steam train. I died here so many times. Not just because of the Dark Nuts, not just because Manhandla manhandled me, but mostly because of me. I was being impatient. I was already at the dungeon, and I refused to leave until I defeated it as is. Problem is, The Legend of Zelda does not care how stubborn you are. You see, every time you die, you start at the beginning of the dungeon with 3 hearts, no matter how many heart containers you have. So a smart person would go to the fairy spring for a full heal, or grind on some enemies outside for easy hearts. But not me. I was gonna bang my head against this dark nut wall until I busted through. And try after try after try, I failed. By this time, Jake had left, and I was alone with my obsession. I eventually caved, however, and found a store to buy the magic shield, thinking that being able to protect myself from fireballs would be enough. But it wasn't. I wasn't getting through here, not in my current mental state. So I gave up for the night and prepared to go back to it tomorrow, refreshed and ready to go. A fresh flannel, a cup of coffee, and I was ready to get back into it. With my ego thoroughly checked, I decided to explore some more to find anything that would help. I found the raft in Dungeon 3 already, and I thought of a few new places to look for secrets, but I was really annoyed when I couldn't use the raft to get to that heart out in the water. Sure seems like a job a raft could do, but I guess not. I also finally bought arrows. Yup, I'd been wandering around Dungeon 3 with an arrowless bow for a very long time. But hey, I have it now, and it's really fun to shoot. Little did I know. I also found what looked like another dungeon, but no, it was another heart. I was actually looking pretty well prepared to take the dungeon down. So I made my way back to Manhandla for an epic showdown. But still, I just barely came up short. I stubbornly ran back in though, and with a little help from a Darknut dropping a fairy for me, Manhandla was vanquished and I finally had my third piece of the Triforce. After that, I found where you could buy the blue ring for $250. Nah, not right now. But I did get the new and improved sword from on top of the waterfall. With that added to my arsenal, I quickly rafted over to Dungeon 4. This is a pretty easy dungeon, but it would have been easier if I noticed that every arrow I shot cost me 1 rupee.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
But after a few tries, I'd found the ladder and was stabbing Gleeok in both of its stupid heads. Now with over half the map finished, it was time for more exploring, backtracking for more goodies, more drawing, and hey look, this robot left me a croissant. A croissant that lets me move boulders. I had no idea that would happen when I accidentally ran into that rock. But finding the secret passage network around the map was super exciting. This game really does a great job on the secrets. Like when you find one, it feels good. Except that. I hate that. I paid for a clue from an old lady and learned the secret to the entrance to Dungeon 5. This dungeon introduces the blue Dark Nuts, which are faster than the red ones and take more hits. Fortunately with our new sword, giving more damage wasn't a problem, but taking damage still was. My stubbornness was getting the best of me again, because I was so sure I could beat all of those Dark Nuts with only 3 hearts. But that just wasn't gonna happen. Alright, we're at full health. Let's do this. Yes! Yes! Let's go! You've gotta be kidding me! I finally decided this was the time to drink my first potion, and was able to defeat all those friggin' Dark Nuts. All that for a friggin' whistle? At least it royally messed up Mr. Eyeball over here. Thanks for the Triforce piece, brah. I love that the whistle summons a whirlwind and sweeps you off to a distant location, just like in Super Mario Bros. 3. It even makes the same sound. Wait, The Legend of Zelda came out 2 years earlier. And with that out of the way, the hunt for Dungeon 6 began. It was actually the second to last location I was able to map because, for some reason, I can't seem to get into the top right corner. But I couldn't shake the fact that my deadline was looming. so I kept focus with my eyes on the prize. But after getting the hint about how the Lost Woods work, after wasting 50 rupees, it was smooth sailing to the next dungeon. This one introduced whiz robes. The red ones aren't so bad, as they can only shoot you from the spot they teleport into, but the blue ones are unpredictable murder machines. After many failed attempts of mastering their magic tricks,
Illusions, Dad. You don't have time for my illusions.
it was clear I needed the blue ring for a little extra defense. Unfortunately, I was still pretty broke from the arrow debacle earlier, so after what felt like an endless grind... What? No! No! I became Blue Link and braced myself for the magic show. The dungeon was easier, but still not easy by any means. I scraped my way to Goma though, and went full Red Ryder BB gun on him.
Oh my god, I shot my eye out!
6 out of the 8 Triforce pieces had been acquired. But then it hit me. I've gone to every single space on the map except one, but I don't know where Dungeon 7, Dungeon 8, or Ganon is. They can't all be on the last spot, right? They've got to be hidden somewhere on the overworld. This is when the panic started to kick in. How was I going to find these dungeons? Maybe someone would give me a clue in a cave like before. Or maybe it's in the graveyard area that seemingly's gone unused.
Nope.
No dungeons, but I did find the old man with the best sword in the game. Hey old man, why do you live in a grave? Well, it's a long sad tale of deceit, intrigue, and forbidden love. You see, when I was a young man... Oh, you're leaving. All right, bye. So I head all the way to the northeast, the only place left to map. But I still couldn't find a way to get in there. But then, by accident, while fighting a swarm of peahats, which sounds disgusting by the way, I slipped into the rock face and found the last area. I rejoiced as the map was finally complete, but only to find it wasn't a dungeon, just $100. Crestfallen, I call it a night, and hope that I can find these last few secrets with what time I have left to finish this challenge. Fresh flannel, a lot of coffee. Let's do this. I've got 3 secret dungeons, and I don't know where to start. So I wander, and wander, and wander, and despite making this giant map, I can't find the most important areas in the game. Maybe there was something I was missing, like a secret area off to the side? But no, it was nowhere. Screen after screen after screen with no solid clues as to where any of these dungeons are. Was this all for nothing? Had I failed? I can't fix it. And that's how we got here. The death of my YouTube channel, all because I couldn't beat a classic video game I should have played by now.
No. No! No! Look, kid. You've been trying so hard. You're going through all of this trouble. You've, moved me in a way I didn't expect. You have to finish this game. You will finish this game.
But I don't know how.
Yes, you do. It's all right here.
Yeah, this is a weird area. I should go look there.
No, that's not what I meant.
Thank you, officer. I'm gonna go beat that pig.
What?
Sure enough, the ferryless spring was the key. I tooted my little tooter, and we were in. Dungeon 7 was such a reprieve from the last 2. No deaths, no trouble. I even already had the meat, because I hated seeing that empty spot in my inventory screen. Not even a refight with the fire-breathing Aquamentus could stop me now. 1 dungeon down, 2 to go. Running around the map like a cuckoo with its head chopped off didn't get me anywhere earlier, so I slowed my roll and looked methodically on the map. The graveyard area still seemed very suspicious, but I'd searched there pretty meticulously earlier and found nothing. Same with the oddly vacant northwestern mountain area. That's when it hit me. What if they hid it in plain sight this whole time? Let's burn. Sure enough, there it was. Dungeon 8. Way closer to the starting point than anyone would ever suspect. I absolutely blasted my way through this dungeon. Dark nuts be damned. Defeated Gleeok number 2 and grabbed the last Triforce piece. It was Ganon time. If I could find him, that is. Something in my gut told me his lair had to be in the Northwest Mountains, but I had no idea where. I'd already spent a lot of time looking in weird spots, but maybe something had changed now that I had all the Triforce pieces. So I searched, and I searched, and I searched, and then I finally bombed the right spot. Ganon's lair is hard. It's got all the hardest enemies, a confusing layout, and is really big. I never actually found the map. Hell, I never found the red ring, the bomb upgrades, or the last hidden heart on the overworld. Not to mention a bunch of other secrets, I'm sure, but that couldn't stop me. I grabbed those silver arrows, stabbed my way through the wizrobes, and this thing that clearly inspired the fly swatting game in Mario Paint. And after a few tries, I finally found Ganon the Invisible Pigman. The final fight was here, and it really got my heart racing. There is a lot on the line, and knowing that another attempt is going to take another 10 minutes of prep time before you even set foot in the dungeon makes you desperately want to get this right the first time. Not to mention your anxiety is way up because you're basically stabbing in the dark. But eventually, I bring the big oinker to his knees and finish him off with one silver arrow. Ganon has been defeated. There's one room left, and despite trying to kill myself right at the end, one stab frees Princess Zelda from the fire and saves all of Hyrule. And with that, The Legend of Zelda was removed from my gaming backlog, and I gained a new respect and appreciation for this amazing game that started the entire series.
Good job, kid. Here, you can have this back. You deserve this.
Well, thank you, officer. I'll just keep trying my best.
So you're gonna do the second quest now, right?
Second quest?
Yeah! It's like the first quest, but a lot harder. Sounds fun, right? You're gonna do it, right?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you had as much fun watching this as we did filming this ridiculous idea I came up with. And if you did, maybe like, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever YouTube stuff you're feeling. But most importantly, have yourself a good one.